Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. If you love coins, their history, and their value, then you've come to the right place. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins you might not even know about, the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter dollar, which is worth a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. Yes, you heard that right. A quarter from 1967 that could make you a millionaire. But before we get into the mind-blowing value, let's start with the basics and understand what makes this coin so special. So, what is the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter, and why is it worth so much? Let's get into it. First off, let's talk about the Washington quarter itself. The coin features a portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, and it's been in circulation since 1932. On the reverse side, you'll find a majestic eagle with a shield. This quarter has become an iconic piece of U.S. numismatic history. Now, the regular 1967 Washington quarter is made of a 40% silver composition, which is pretty standard for quarters minted during the 1960s. But here's where things get interesting. Most quarters from 1967 are struck with a mint mark indicating where they were made, either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. However, the 1967 no-mint mark quarter, well, it has no mint mark at all. That's right, this coin lacks the usual D4 Denver or S4 San Francisco. At first glance, this might seem like a simple mistake. But what makes this coin so rare and valuable is that this was no accident. It's a result of an intriguing error at the U.S. Mint. In 1967, the U.S. Mint was transitioning between its regular production of quarters. As a result, the minting machine sometimes malfunctioned, leading to several coins being produced without mint marks. This error, combined with the rarity of finding one in good condition, has skyrocketed the value of these particular quarters. Coins like this one were supposed to have a mint mark to indicate where they were struck, but for this batch, the mint mark was accidentally left off, an error that makes the 1967 no-mint mark quarter highly sought after by collectors. So, how much is it worth? Well, when it comes to coin errors, rarity is the key. And this particular coin is super rare. In fact, it's one of the most valuable Washington quarters out there. If you have a 1967 no-mint mark quarter in excellent condition, like the one we're talking about today, you could be looking at a market value of up to $1.9 million. These coins are incredibly rare, and over the past few years, their value has exploded. Coins with no mint mark were produced in very limited numbers, and not many have survived in pristine condition, which is why the value is so high. Now you might be wondering, how can you tell if your 1967 Washington quarter is one of these million-dollar coins? The first thing to check is, of course, the mint mark. The 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter has no mint mark at all. Next, you'll want to examine the coin for its condition, because the better the condition, the higher the value. Grading plays a huge role in coin values. A coin in perfect condition, known as a mint state or MS-70 grade, will command the highest prices. Coins with minor wear and tear will be worth less, but still much more than a typical quarter. So, if you've been going through your coin collection or have any 1967 Washington quarters laying around, now's the time to check them carefully. You could be sitting on a small fortune. And who knows, your quarter might be worth much more than just a few quarters. If you find one of these coins, don't just go ahead and spend it like you would any other quarter. Get it appraised by a professional coin dealer to determine its full value. If you're lucky enough to have a 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter in great shape, it could be worth well over $1 million at auction. To sum it up, the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter is an absolute gem in the coin collecting world. With only a few known examples of these era coins still in circulation, it's one of the most valuable quarters you can find today. If you happen to own one, you might just be holding on to a piece of history that could be worth a small fortune. So, is your 1967 quarter worth $1.9 million? It's possible. But remember, condition is everything. If you think you've found one, take it to a professional and get it evaluated. You never know, you could be the next lucky coin owner making headlines for finding a rare, high-value piece of history. Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. If you love coins, their history, and their value, then you've come to the right place. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins you might not even know about, the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter dollar, which is worth a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. Yes, you heard that right. A quarter from 1967 that could make you a millionaire. But before we get into the mind-blowing value, let's start with the basics and understand what makes this coin so special. So, what is the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter, and why is it worth so much? Let's get into it. First off, let's talk about the Washington quarter itself. The coin features a portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, and it's been in circulation since 1932. On the reverse side, you'll find a majestic eagle with a shield. This quarter has become an iconic piece of U.S. numismatic history. Now, the regular 1967 Washington quarter is made of a 40% silver composition, which is pretty standard for quarters minted during the 1960s. But here's where things get interesting. Most quarters from 1967 are struck with a mint mark indicating where they were made, either in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. However, the 1967 no-mint mark quarter, well, it has no mint mark at all. That's right, this coin lacks the usual D4 Denver or S4 San Francisco. At first glance, this might seem like a simple mistake. But what makes this coin so rare and valuable is that this was no accident. It's a result of an intriguing error at the U.S. Mint. In 1967, the U.S. Mint was transitioning between its regular production of quarters. As a result, the minting machine sometimes malfunctioned, leading to several coins being produced without mint marks. This error, combined with the rarity of finding one in good condition, has skyrocketed the value of these particular quarters. Coins like this one were supposed to have a mint mark to indicate where they were struck, but for this batch, the mint mark was accidentally left off, an error that makes the 1967 no-mint mark quarter highly sought after by collectors. So how much is it worth? Well, when it comes to coin errors, rarity is the key. And this particular coin is super rare. In fact, it's one of the most valuable Washington quarters out there. If you have a 1967 no-mint mark quarter in excellent condition, like the one we're talking about today, you could be looking at a market value of up to $1.9 million. These coins are incredibly rare, and over the past few years, their value has exploded. Coins with no mint mark were produced in very limited numbers, and not many have survived in pristine condition, which is why the value is so high. Now you might be wondering, how can you tell if your 1967 Washington quarter is one of these million-dollar coins? The first thing to check is, of course, the mint mark. The 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter has no mint mark at all. Next, you'll want to examine the coin for its condition, because the better the condition, the higher the value. Grading plays a huge role in coin values. A coin in perfect condition, known as a mint state or MS-70 grade, will command the highest prices. Coins with minor wear and tear will be worth less, but still much more than a typical quarter. So if you've been going through your coin collection or have any 1967 Washington quarters laying around, now's the time to check them carefully. You could be sitting on a small fortune. And who knows, your quarter might be worth much more than just a few quarters. If you find one of these coins, don't just go ahead and spend it like you would any other quarter. Get it appraised by a professional coin dealer to determine its full value. If you're lucky enough to have a 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter in great shape, it could be worth well over $1 million at auction. To sum it up, the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter is an absolute gem in the coin collecting world. With only a few known examples of these era coins still in circulation, it's one of the most valuable quarters you can find today. If you happen to own one, you might just be holding on to a piece of history that could be worth a small fortune. So, is your 1967 quarter worth $1.9 million? It's possible. But remember, condition is everything. If you think you've found one, take it to a professional and get it evaluated. You never know, you could be the next lucky coin owner making headlines for finding a rare, high-value piece of history. 1979 D Washington quarter dollar coin, which could be worth a lot of money, and I mean a lot. In fact, it's estimated to be worth a staggering $1.6 million. Yes, you heard that right. Stick around till the end, because by the end of this video, you'll know why this coin could potentially be sitting in your collection or, if you're lucky, sitting in a bank vault, ready to make you a fortune. Alright, let's start with the basics. The 1979 D Washington quarter was minted by the U.S. Mint, and the D mint mark stands for Denver, where it was produced. But here's the thing, this isn't just your typical 1979 quarter. In fact, most 1979 D quarters are worth only face value, which is 25 cents. So why is this particular coin worth so much money? The Washington quarter itself was first minted in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It's a coin that has been widely circulated, but every now and then, a rare error or special circumstance makes certain years or mint marks incredibly valuable. Now, what makes the 1979 D Washington quarter so valuable? It all comes down to a very specific, rare minting error that happened during production. This error is what makes this coin so special, and so sought after by collectors. The 1979 D quarter in question has a distinctive feature, a die clash error. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies come into direct contact with each other without a planchet in between, which can leave a design from the opposite side faintly imprinted on the coin. In this case, the reverse of the coin has a faint image of George Washington's profile, which should only appear on the front of the coin. This rare error is known as a double strike die clash. And it's that very imperfection that makes this coin so unique, and to coin collectors, it makes it incredibly valuable. So, how did this 1979 D quarter end up with a value of $1.6 million? Well, it all started when a few of these rare coins were discovered in circulation. Because of the die clash, this particular quarter stood out from others. And when the coin was first examined by a few experts, the error was confirmed, and that's when collectors began to go crazy for it. Coins with minting errors, especially as significant as this one, are highly coveted by collectors, and over the years, several of these 1979 D die clash quarters have popped up at major auctions. The last known sale of one of these quarters set a new record for the highest price ever paid for a Washington quarter. $1.6 million. That's because it's an extremely rare find, and with collectors always on the lookout for these, the demand for them skyrockets. So, how do you know if you've got a 1979 D Washington quarter that could potentially be worth millions? It's all about closely inspecting the coin for the telltale signs of the die clash error. Look closely at the reverse side of the coin. If you see any faint image of George Washington's profile where it shouldn't be, on the eagle's body, or near the rim of the coin, that's your die clash error. The other feature to look for is an abnormality in the minting, with the design on both sides appearing slightly off-center or with strange markings. Keep in mind, this error is rare. You won't find it in every 1979 D quarter, so if you come across one with these features, be sure to get it professionally graded. A certified coin can fetch a much higher price at auction. While the 1979 D Washington quarter is an amazing find, there are plenty of other coins out there that could be worth a lot of money. For example, coins from the early 1900s, coins with errors like double strikes or off-center mintings, and even certain modern coins with rare features can fetch big bucks. Keep your eyes peeled. So there you have it. The 1979 D Washington quarter with a die clash error is worth a fortune. Potentially $1.6 million, or even more depending on its condition and provenance. If you're lucky enough to have one in your collection, make sure you get it graded by a professional and perhaps you'll find yourself sitting on a small treasure. 1981 P Washington quarter dollar coin. Now you might be thinking, wait, 1981? That coin's not even that old. But trust me, this specific quarter is worth an incredible amount of money. We're talking about $1.8 million in today's market. Stick around to find out why this quarter is so valuable, and what makes it a true treasure for collectors. Let's dive right in. First things first, let's get to know the 1981 Washington quarter. If you've come across one of these in your change, you probably wouldn't think much of it. It looks like any other quarter from the 1980s. The 1981 quarter features a depiction of George Washington, as designed by John Flanagan, which has been the standard on quarters since 1932. The reverse shows an eagle with a shield, holding an olive branch and arrows. The inscription on the coin reads United States of America and E Pluribus Unum. Now you might be wondering, why is the 1981 P Washington quarter worth a jaw-dropping $1.8 million? Well, here's where the story gets interesting. The 1981 P quarter is from the Philadelphia Mint, which means it has the P Mint mark. Now, most 1981 P quarters were struck in large numbers, meaning they're not rare by themselves. However, the key to the $1.8 million value lies in a rare error that was made during production. So, here's where things get crazy. Among the millions of regular 1981 P quarters, there exists a very special double die variety, a coin that was struck with a misalignment in the die, causing the image of Washington to be doubled. This mistake makes the coin unique and highly collectible. In the case of the 1981 P Washington quarter, this error occurred because of a mistake during the minting process, where the coin was struck twice with the same die, creating a noticeable doubling effect on Washington's image. The doubling can be seen clearly on the motto Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as on Washington's profile. First, look closely at the date. You might notice that the numbers are slightly misaligned or doubled. Check the lettering around Washington's portrait. The most obvious indicators are on Liberty and In God We Trust, where you'll see the words appear doubled, with extra thickness around the letters. You also want to inspect Washington's chin and cheek area, where you might notice a faint second outline from the doubled die strike. Now, let's talk about the value. You might be asking, why is this error coin worth so much money? The reason comes down to rarity and demand. Error coins like this are extremely rare. In fact, only a handful of 1981 P double die quarters have been discovered. They're highly sought after by collectors, which drives up their price. In recent auctions, the 1981 P double die quarter has sold for as much as $1.8 million, setting a new record for error coin sales. The rarity and historical value of these coins make them incredibly valuable to serious numismatists and collectors. So, if you're lucky enough to find one of these in your pocket change, what should you do? First, check it over carefully for the telltale signs of doubling. If you think you've found one, you'll want to get it appraised by a professional coin dealer or a numismatic expert to confirm it's the real deal. If you do find a 1981 P double die quarter, you could potentially make a small fortune. Coins like this can be sold at auction houses or through private dealers, where collectors around the world are eagerly searching for rare pieces to add to their collections. While the 1981 P double die is definitely one of the most valuable quarters in the Washington series, it's not the only rare one out there. There are other Washington quarters, like those from 1932 and 1964, that are also worth a lot of money due to their rarity or unique errors. Each year of the Washington quarter series can have rare varieties, mint errors, or even low mintage numbers that contribute to their value. So, it's always worth checking your coins carefully. You never know what hidden treasures you might find. To wrap things up, the 1981 P Washington quarter is a perfect example of how one small minting error can turn an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar rarity. If you're a coin collector or even just someone who likes to check your pocket change, always keep an eye out for this elusive double die. It could be your ticket to a small fortune. 1983 P Washington quarter dollar coin and uncovering why this seemingly ordinary coin has skyrocketed in value. Stick around, because you won't believe what you might have sitting in your pocket or collection. Let's start with some basics. The 1983 Washington quarter is a part of the standard series that the U.S. Mint released every year since 1932, when the design featuring George Washington was introduced. For most of us, a 1983 P Washington quarter doesn't seem anything special. After all, it's just another quarter, right? Here's a close-up of the coin in question. You'll notice the familiar design, George Washington on the obverse, and the eagle, shield, and the United States of America motto on the reverse. However, what makes this coin so valuable isn't the design itself, but something much rarer that happened during its minting. So, what's the big deal with the 1983 P Washington quarter? Why is it worth $1.3 million? Well, to answer that, we need to take a deep dive into a fascinating historical mistake made at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1983, the U.S. Mint was experiencing some challenges in production. During that year, most quarters were minted at the Denver and San Francisco mints, while only a small number of coins were produced at the Philadelphia Mint. But here's the catch. During this period, the 1983 Philadelphia Mint mark was supposed to be removed from the coin altogether, meaning the mint mark was typically left off, which was a regular practice for quarters. But here's the twist. A limited number of 1983 P quarters, a few hundred to be exact, were accidentally minted with the P mint mark still intact. These coins were supposed to be without a mint mark but somehow got out into circulation with the P from Philadelphia clearly stamped on them. Now, here's where the mystery, and the value, starts to unfold. You see, errors like this are incredibly rare. When a coin with a mistake gets out into circulation, collectors go crazy for them. Especially when it involves a mint mark error, which is a pretty big deal in numismatic circles. Coins like these, especially when the mistake is as clear as a mint mark that shouldn't be there, can lead to an explosion in value over time. The 1983 P Washington quarter is a prime example. It's an extremely rare error. Fewer than 200 of them are believed to exist in any condition. And because of its rarity, along with the fact that it's a Washington quarter, which is a beloved part of U.S. coinage, collectors are willing to pay a premium for a piece of history. But the real kicker? A well-preserved example can go for an astronomical price on the open market. Here's where things get really crazy. In recent years, a 1983 P Washington quarter era coin was auctioned off for an insane $1.3 million. That's right, a single coin worth more than $1 million. That record-breaking sale came after intense bidding between high-profile collectors and investors. And you better believe the coin was in pristine condition, graded at a mint state 67 by professional grading services. The better the condition of the coin, the more valuable it becomes. But even if your 1983 P Washington quarter isn't in perfect condition, it can still fetch a pretty penny, just not in the millions. Most of these era coins in good condition can sell for anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare 1983 P quarters in your collection or even in your pocket change? First off, look for the P mint mark. Normally, 1983 quarters were minted without a mint mark in Philadelphia, so any coin that has the P is an instant red flag. You'll want to check closely because these coins are highly sought after. Next, make sure you have a coin that looks like it was struck with a full, clear mint mark. The presence of a faint or poorly stamped P doesn't make it quite as valuable. Here's another thing to keep in mind. Just because you find a 1983 P Washington quarter doesn't automatically mean you've struck gold. If you think you've got an error coin, it's important to get it professionally graded and authenticated. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, determining its exact value based on its condition and rarity. So, if you've got a potential gem, don't just toss it into your jar of loose change, get it checked out by a professional. So there you have it, folks, the incredible value of the 1983 P Washington quarter and the amazing story behind it. If you find one of these coins in your collection or even in your change jar, make sure you do some research, as it could be worth a fortune. Remember, coin collecting is about more than just finding rare pieces. It's about understanding the history, the rarity, and the stories behind each coin. So, keep your eyes peeled for those hidden treasures. 1994 D Washington quarter has become one of the most sought-after coins in the collector's market, and how one of them recently sold for a jaw-dropping $1.7 million. If you're into coin collecting, This is the video you don't want to miss. So grab your magnifying glass, let's get started. Before we get into why the 1994 D Washington Quarter is so valuable, let's take a quick look at the Washington Quarter series itself. The Washington Quarter, featuring the first President of the United States, George Washington, was first minted in 1932 to celebrate Washington's 200th birthday. Since then, this quarter has been a staple in American coinage, produced by the United States Mint in several different years. The Washington Quarter underwent several design changes over the years, but the one we're focusing on today is the 1994 version, which was minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark. Now, the 1994 D Quarter is not something that immediately stands out compared to other regular quarters. But that's where things get interesting. There are specific features that make it unique. Alright, let's get into why the 1994 D Washington Quarter is so valuable. The first thing you need to know is that not all 1994 D quarters are worth millions. In fact, most of them are just worth their face value, 25 cents. So, what's the catch? To understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to talk about a rare minting error. There was a very specific error with certain 1994 D quarters, and that error made it an incredibly unique coin. This error involves a double die obverse. That's when the die that stamps the design onto the coin makes multiple impressions during the minting process. As a result, the design is slightly doubled, which creates an unmistakable look. Look closely at the lettering and the details of the design. You'll notice the doubling effect on Liberty and In God We Trust, where the letters appear to have a shadow, or two outlines. That's the telltale sign of a double die error. So how did this 1994 D quarter, with a double die error, go from being just another quarter in circulation to a coin worth millions? Well, this is where the story gets even more interesting. Back in a coin collector found one of these rare 1994 D Washington quarters while going through their pocket change. After sending it to a professional grader for evaluation, it was confirmed that the coin had the rare double die error. Once it hit the market, the coin quickly gained attention from high-profile collectors, and before long, it was sold for an astonishing $1.7 million at auction. Can you believe that? $1.7 million for a coin that started off as a regular quarter. This just goes to show how valuable rare errors can be when they're discovered. Now, let's talk about the current market value of the 1994 D Washington Quarter. While not every single 1994 D quarter is worth millions, those with the double die error have skyrocketed in value. As of today, coins with this error can fetch anywhere from $50,000 to $1.7 million, depending on the condition and the severity of the doubling. So, if you happen to find one of these rare quarters in your change, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The key to its value is the rarity and condition of the coin. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition will always fetch a higher price. So, collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a 1994 D quarter that's in mint condition with a clear, visible error. Alright, so how do you spot a 1994 D Washington Quarter with a double die error? Here are a few tips for identifying it. First, check for the D Mint mark under the date. That's the first clue that it's a 1994 D quarter. Next, look closely at the lettering on the obverse. The Liberty and In God We Trust should show some noticeable doubling. If you see that, you've got a rare find on your hands. Finally, check the overall condition. A coin that's still in circulation may have scratches or wear, but coins in uncirculated condition, especially with the doubling effect, will be much more valuable. If you think you've found a rare 1994 D Washington Quarter with the double die error, it's time to get it appraised by a professional. You can send your coin to a reputable grading service, like PCGS or NGC, to have it authenticated and graded. Once graded, you can get an accurate idea of its value. Grading your coin not only protects its value, but it also helps you sell it for the right price if you choose to do so. These services will evaluate the coin's condition and give you a grade from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the more valuable your coin is. So there you have it, folks. The 1994 D Washington Quarter with a double die error is one of the most valuable coins out there, with one recently selling for $1.7 million. If you're a coin collector or just someone who loves finding treasure in your spare change, keep an eye out for this rare gem. You never know, you might have one hiding in your collection. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin yourself. And as always, thanks for watching, and happy hunting! 1997 D Washington Quarter Dollar. That's right, a coin that might be sitting in your collection or your pocket could be worth a mind-blowing $1.20 million. And trust me, you won't want to miss out on learning how. Stick around, because in today's video, we'll break down everything you need to know about this rare coin, how to spot it, and why it's worth such a crazy amount of money. Now, let's talk about the 1997 D Washington Quarter Dollar. It's a coin you might not think much about at first glance. After all, it's just another one of those regular circulating quarters. But, as with any valuable collectible, things aren't always what they seem. Here it is, the 1997 D Washington Quarter. It looks like your standard quarter, right? But here's where it gets interesting. This coin is a rare find in certain conditions, and some have been sold for over $1 million. How is this possible? Well, to answer that, we need to go back and take a closer look at the history and the unique factors that make this particular quarter worth so much. The 1997 D Washington Quarter was minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark. For most collectors, this was just another year in the long history of the Washington Quarter series, which has been in production since 1932. However, in 1997, something special happened. During the minting process in Denver, a small number of these quarters were struck with a major error, a significant doubling of the mint mark or other key features on the coin. This error wasn't noticed immediately, and only a small handful of these coins were released into circulation. As you might imagine, these errors have become incredibly sought after by collectors, making them incredibly valuable. Let's take a closer look at the coin itself. The design of the Washington Quarter hasn't changed much over the years. You have George Washington's profile on the front, the classic design by John Flanagan that's been used since 1932. But if we zoom in on the reverse side, we can see the eagle perched on the olive branch and arrows, another timeless design. But what really sets this coin apart is the error. In the case of the 1997 D Washington Quarter, we're talking about a minting error that makes the coin highly collectible and valuable. The error that makes this coin worth millions isn't just a simple scratch or nick. The most valuable 1997 D Washington Quarters have a double die obverse error, meaning that during the minting process, the die was misaligned, causing the design to be struck twice. This results in a doubling effect on the coin's features, such as Washington's cheek, the letters, and the mint mark. If you're lucky enough to have one of these double die obverse 1997 D Washington Quarters, you could be sitting on a gold mine. The key here is that not every 1997 D Washington Quarter is worth this much. It's the specific error coins that have become so valuable. Collectors have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for a 1997 D Washington Quarter with the double die error, but recently, one of these coins was sold for an astounding $1.2 million in an auction. What makes this particular coin even more valuable is its pristine condition. The higher the grade, the more a coin is worth. So how can you tell if you have one of these ultra-valuable coins? Well, here are some quick tips to check for the double die error. First, look closely at the mint mark on the front of the coin. In some cases, you might see it doubling or looking unusually bold. Similarly, check the date and letters on the coin for any noticeable doubling. Next, examine the coin under magnification. If you see a clear duplication of the design features, you might just have a double die error in your hands. One thing to keep in mind is the condition of the coin. Coins that are in MS65 or higher condition are the most desirable and can fetch the highest prices at auction. So, keep an eye on your collection and check for these signs of error. So, what should you do if you think you have one of these rare 1997 D Washington Quarters? First, get your coin professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. Once it's graded, you'll have a better idea of its market value. Depending on the grade and the rarity of the error, you could be looking at anything from a few $1,000s to $1 million or more. If you do have a coin worth this much, the best place to sell it is at auction houses that specialize in rare coins, like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. These places have buyers who are looking for high-end, error coins. And remember, even if you don't have $1 million quarter in your collection, don't worry. There are tons of valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. All it takes is a bit of knowledge, patience, and a keen eye for spotting rare and valuable errors. So there you have it, the incredible story behind the 1997 D Washington quarter dollar, and why it's worth a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. Have you ever found a rare coin? Or perhaps you've got a 1997 D Washington quarter sitting in your collection? Let us know in the comments below. 1999 D Washington quarter dollar. And no, it's not just any quarter. This coin is worth a whopping $1.5 million on the current market. That's right, $1.50 million. Stick around as we explore what makes this coin so valuable, how to identify it, and why it's causing such a buzz in the coin world. You don't want to miss this. Before we get into the 1999 D Washington quarter dollar, let's take a quick look at the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Since then, it's been one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. You've probably seen one in your pocket change, right? However, the 1999 D is a special year, and this particular coin has a few unique features that set it apart from the rest. And if you're lucky enough to have one, you could be sitting on a treasure. So, what makes the 1999 D Washington quarter dollar so valuable? Well, the key to its immense worth comes down to a rare error that happened during the minting process. To make it simple, there was a major mistake, one that is extremely rare to find in circulation. This error happened when the coin's die, the part that stamps the design onto the coin, was damaged. This led to an unusual feature on the coin that makes it stand out, an off-center strike. Now, what's an off-center strike? It means that the design of the coin is not properly aligned, which can cause parts of the image to be missing or shifted. In some cases, this can make a coin look like it was stamped partially out of the blank metal planchet, leaving behind only a portion of the design. The 1999 D Washington quarter is one of the rarest coins with this error, and some of these off-center strikes have been found in perfect condition. That's why the market value of this particular coin can reach an incredible $1.5 million. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's talk about how to spot this coin and how you can identify if you've got one that's worth a fortune. You'll want to look for a few key features on the 1999 D Washington quarter. As we mentioned, the off-center strike is the most important feature. You'll notice the coin's design is shifted and the image is cut off in certain areas. Mintmark location. Look for the mintmark D on the back of the coin. This indicates that it was minted in Denver. If your coin has the D mintmark and the off-center error, it could be one of the most valuable ones out there. The condition of the coin is also crucial. Coins in mint condition, especially those with little to no wear and tear, can fetch the highest prices. You're looking for a coin that's as close to perfect as possible, with the error being clearly visible. Here's a pro tip: if you're inspecting your coin for an error, use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. The off-center strike will be much easier to spot with some extra magnification. Keep an eye out for that design being out of place or a portion of it missing. Now you're probably wondering, how much is this rare coin worth? Well, the market value of a 1999 D Washington quarter can vary, but here's the deal: coins with the off-center strike error can be worth anywhere from $500 to $1.5 million, depending on the condition and the severity of the error. Just imagine this: one of these rare off-center 1999 D quarters recently sold for a jaw-dropping $1.5 million at a major coin auction. That's right, one single coin, a mistake from the US Mint, sold for more than most of us could ever dream of. Now I know what you're thinking. How do you know if you have one of these highly valuable coins? Well, to get an accurate appraisal, you'll need to have it graded by a professional coin grader, like the ones at the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. A high grade can greatly increase your coin's value, so don't just assume it's worth millions without having it properly evaluated. So, let's say you've got a 1999 D Washington quarter with that off-center strike. How do you sell it? The best way is through a trusted auction house or a coin dealer who specializes in rare coins. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers often handle these kinds of high-value sales. You can also check out online auction platforms like eBay, but be cautious and make sure you're dealing with a reputable buyer. Remember, the market can fluctuate, and finding the right buyer will make all the difference. If you have any doubts about selling, consult with a professional first. It's always a good idea to know your coin's worth before parting with it. Alright, folks, there you have it, the 1999 D Washington quarter dollar coin, a rare and valuable piece of US coinage that could be worth up to $1.5 million. If you have one, don't just toss it aside, it might be worth a small fortune. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on valuable coins. Leave a comment below if you've ever come across a rare coin, and let me know if you're hunting for that 1999 D Washington quarter. 2015 with a D mint mark, and it's worth a lot more than you think. But how did it become so valuable? Let's dive into the details, starting with what makes the 2015 D Washington quarter so unique. But before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on another video packed with rare coin information. Let's get started. First, let's take a quick look at the Washington quarter as a whole. This coin has been a part of the US Mint since 1932, and it was introduced to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Featuring an image of George Washington on the front and an eagle on the reverse, it's a coin that's been circulating for nearly 90 years. But there's one specific year and mintmark combination that collectors are going crazy for: 2015 with the D mintmark.so. What makes this coin so valuable? Let's break it down. The 2015 D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the D mintmark located just below Washington's neck. The D mintmark is important because it tells us that the coin was produced in Denver, as opposed to the P mintmark for Philadelphia or the S mintmark for San Francisco. Now, you're probably wondering, why is a quarter from 2015 worth so much? After all, most quarters are worth just 25 cents, right? Well, the answer lies in a very rare and unusual error found on a small group of these coins. In 2015, a small number of Washington quarters struck at the Denver Mint featured a major error, a misalignment during the minting process that caused the coin to be struck with an abnormal pattern. These coins were produced with a slight double strike, meaning they were accidentally stamped twice, creating a unique ghosting effect. This error gave the coin an off-center, nearly double impression design on the obverse, with the reverse also showing a faint secondary impression. Now, you might think, what's so special about an error coin? Well, error coins are often incredibly rare, and this particular error is one that collectors are always on the lookout for. They add a level of rarity and unpredictability that makes these coins highly sought after. Only a few of these double-struck 2015 D quarters were discovered, which makes them extremely rare. In fact, only a handful have made it to the market, and even fewer have been graded by professional coin grading companies, which only increases their value. Because of this rarity, the value of these coins skyrocketed. Coins with such minting errors are often bought by collectors or investors looking to own a unique piece of history. And when a coin like this shows up at an auction or in a collector's collection, the bidding war can drive the price to record levels. So, how did this coin end up being worth an incredible $1.4 million? Well, it all comes down to demand and rarity. When one of these 2015 D Washington quarters with the double strike error was sold at a major auction, the coin fetched a mind-blowing price of $1.4 million. This price came from a combination of factors: the rarity of the error, the high demand from collectors, and the fact that it was graded as a high-quality specimen by professional graders. Now, you might be thinking, what does it take to get a coin like this graded? Coin grading is a complex process where experts evaluate the coin based on its condition, such as its clarity, luster, and whether there are any additional flaws or errors. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin is. Coins with errors, especially in high grades, can easily see their value rise into the millions. So, how can you identify if you have one of these rare error coins? It's all about looking closely at the details. Here's what you should check. Look for a faint second strike on the coin. This double strike creates a ghosted image of Washington's portrait, as well as a blurry, doubled reverse. Ensure the mint mark is a D, indicating that the coin was minted in Denver. Coins in high grade, like MS-65 or higher, are especially valuable. It's important to note that not every 2015 Qaurter is worth millions. In fact, most of them are just standard, 25-cent coins. So, if you do have one of these rare error coins, be sure to have it professionally graded by a reputable company like the PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. If you do find one of these rare quarters, you might be wondering, how can I sell it? There are several ways to sell rare coins. Major coin auctions are a great way to sell rare, high-value coins, as they attract collectors and investors who are willing to pay top dollar. Professional coin dealers may also be interested in buying error coins, especially if they're in high demand. Websites like eBay can be a great place to sell, but be sure to take proper precautions to protect your coin and transaction. In conclusion, the 2015 Washington Qaurter is one of those coins that proves how valuable errors can be in the coin collecting world. From a simple minting mistake to a $1.4 million price tag, this coin has become a must-have for serious collectors. If you find one, make sure to get it checked, because you could be holding a piece of history worth a fortune. 2006 Washington Qaurter dollar. You won't believe how much this coin is worth. Spoiler alert, it's worth a whopping $1.9 million. Let's dive into the incredible story behind this coin. Now you may be wondering, what makes the 2006 Washington Qaurter so valuable? Well, it's not just about the date or the mint mark. In fact, this coin is considered one of the rarest and most valuable quarters ever to exist in the United States. And yes, you heard that right, $1.9 million. So, what's the catch? How did this humble 2006 Qaurter skyrocket to such a mind-boggling value? Let me break it down for you. The 2006 Washington Qaurter is a standard coin produced by the U.S. Mint, featuring the iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse, with a simple, yet powerful design on the reverse. It was minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark, and it was a part of the State Quarters program, which celebrated the states of the USA in the late 90s and early 2000s. But here's the thing, a small number of these coins came off the press with a serious mistake. This error is what catapulted this coin into million-dollar territory. So, let's talk about that error. Some 2006 Washington Qaurters were struck with a double die error, which means that the coin was stamped twice during the minting process. Now, this error is incredibly rare, and it affects the details of George Washington's face, particularly the lettering and the date. This small mistake can make the coin extremely valuable, but it's not just any double die, it's one of the most prominent and cleanest ones ever discovered. Take a look here. You can see the extra details in the letters of liberty and even in the date. This is a telltale sign of the double die error. A well-defined one like this can make a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. But the ones that were in pristine condition, like the one I'm showing you today, are fetching millions in the right market. When it comes to coin value, condition is everything. A regular, run-of-the-mill 2006 Washington Qaurter would probably be worth around 25 cents in a coin jar. But with a double die error and in top-notch condition, this coin has been graded as high as MS-69 by professional graders. That grade is what really makes the coin so valuable. In fact, when one of these rare, perfect condition 2006 Washington Qaurters was sold at an auction, it fetched $1.9 million. So, what makes this sale so special? Why was it worth that much? At a high-profile auction, this coin captured the attention of serious collectors from all over the world. What's interesting is that this was one of only a handful of coins in this era that have been discovered, and finding one in near perfect condition is almost impossible. That rarity combined with the historical significance of the US Mint era made it the centerpiece of the sale. Can you imagine? Just a quarter. And yet, here it is, a piece of American history worth almost $2 million. Now you may be thinking, how can I tell if I have one of these valuable quarters? First, check for the mint mark. Look for the P under George Washington's neck. Now, you need to look very carefully for that double die error. If you notice extra detail in the lettering of Liberty or the date, it could be a double die. Keep in mind that not every 2006 P will be valuable. But if you have one of the rare errors, especially one in near perfect condition, you could be holding on to a small fortune. So, how can you get your hands on one of these? Well, you'll need to hunt through rolls of quarters or visit online auctions and numismatic dealers who specialize in rare coins. However, the chances of finding one are slim because these coins are so highly sought after. But who knows? If you're out there searching, you might just strike gold. To wrap it up, the 2006 P Washington quarter is a prime example of how a small error can turn a seemingly ordinary coin into a $1 million treasure. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just getting started, keep an eye out for these unique and valuable finds.